This is Terrance of Terrance Hill TV. I want to thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Terrance Hill TV, presented to you by WeTV over the digital airways of YouTube. Yes, WeTV, epic, elevate the vision. Let's do it.
Well, I hope you are ready for epic elevation. WeTV.
Say no more, go get the bag, go get the cake, go get the cheese, and say no more. Say no more, say no more. Say no more. All right, what's going on, y'all? This is Terrance. I want to welcome you to this episode of Terrance Hill TV, presented to you by WeTV over the digital airways of YouTube. We are live, all right, and we're here to talk about this Sean Diddy sentencing. All right, before we get into that, ask you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell as well, to be notified whenever new content is uploaded. But let's get into it. So 50 months is what he was given, which obviously once you subtract time served, he's been in there 13 months. So you're probably looking at somewhere like around 3 years. First time offense. So he'll probably get good behavior. Probably 2.5 years is what I'm guessing. Now, I know a lot of people are disappointed in that particular verdict. However, in my opinion, I followed the case very, very closely. I think the judge has been very fair. And I think had the judge tried to go harder than that, then he probably would have ended up being able to beat it on some type of appeal or something like that. Now, I know a lot of people have made comparisons to Epstein and other people and in other cases where people have gotten less time. However, Diddy is not the color of those people as well. Also, people have to remember as well that, you know, when we use this term power, there's a difference between power and the illusion of power. No, you got this level of power, but once this other people like Epstein and other folks like that, that's like the real power. These are the people that write the checks to your biggest actors and things of that nature. For example, I would say LeBron James is a very powerful person, but at the same token, but Jeannie Buss, who used to write his checks because now they have a new owner, but that's the people with the power, the people that write the checks to the people that we say are powerful. That's like a whole nother league of people. And why, you could speculate all you want to what got him into this particular situation, but obviously it was his own actions that got him into this situation that he's in. I think one of the biggest mistakes, just my observation that he made, I'm gonna pull this up. He sent this letter in, and this letter came on yesterday is when I got wind of it. And to me, some of the stuff that he put in this letter, had he kind of came off the rip with this type of now still there was some things in the letter that I don't think he should have wrote as well, but it says, I hope this letter finds you in good health and spirits. Thank you for the opportunity to express my thoughts to you. First and foremost, I want to apologize and say how sincerely sorry I am for the hurt and pain that I have caused others by my conduct. I take full responsibility and accountability for my past wrongs. This has been the hardest 2 years of my life, blah, blah, blah. I have no one to blame for my current situation but myself. I've made many mistakes, but I'm no longer running from them. I'm sorry for the hurt that I caused, but I understand that mere words, I'm sorry, would never be good enough, as these words alone cannot erase the pain from the past. And then he goes into all this other stuff about over the, his conditions in the jail and things of this nature. But I just don't think you should necessarily try to approach a judge that way. It's like, all these, I get it, that, bringing up his children and bringing up the condition of his mom, and he wants to be there for her and all these things. It's like, well, you put yourself in that situation. Let me tell you guys a story, something that happened to me. I'm not going to say who or where. I'm just going to say I was the manager of somewhere, and I got invited by some friends to a dinner party. So I go to the dinner party, and then I come back from the dinner party, and I remember it's two ways you can enter my office. You can enter from the front door, or you can enter from the side door. I came through the side door and came through one of the rooms to get to my office, and somebody was in there doing something that they had no business doing. All right, I just put it that way. Now, obviously, I could have fired that person on the spot, right? But I didn't, because I was taking into account that had I fired that person, they would have lost their. At that time, we had got news that where I was at was going to be closing, and everyone was going to get severance, like a severance thing. Had I fired the person, they would have lost their severance. However, they wasn't thinking about their severance in that moment when they were doing what they were doing. And I'm just saying that to compare that to Diddy. It's like you talking about your mom. It's some brain issue that she's had, and his kids and all these things. Those are the things that you should have been thinking about at the time where you were doing, these freak offs and doing the stuff that he was doing. I already knew. I knew from a photo. I knew that he wasn't sober. I already knew that. That wasn't like a revelation to me at all. Like, as a matter of fact, I think this is the picture here. Just the look on his face, I knew there was some type of substance issue going on. I just knew it automatically. Like, it's just that type of look is like, okay, something ain't right with homeboy, and it's very disappointing. For years he hid behind Black excellence. He hid behind God. I think one time he was going to Hezekiah Walker's church and stuff like that. And the other thing that was very disappointing as well is, let's just say, if he had an artist that he owed money to, as far as like publishing and royalties and things of that nature. I mean, how do you think someone feels that here I am, I can't feed my family, or I'm having a hard time trying to get what's owed to me, and you're taking the money that could be going to my family to blow it on hookers and parties and paying sex workers to come in? It just doesn't sit right with me, beyond what he did to the women. Obviously, what he did was sick, gross, disgusting, wrong, no call for it whatsoever. But that's another level of wrong as well. So not only do we have Cassie and any other female that was involved in this whole situation, but even the whole thing with any artist that wasn't getting their just due. It's just it's very disappointing, that we have, another mogul, another, one of our so-called icons in the game, fall victim to stuff like this. But we have, Russell, and just several other guys. You could just kind of, go down the list of CEOs and music moguls who put themselves in these type of situations. So it's definitely something that other people need to learn from as well. That this guy was very big, and for years he got away with a lot of stuff. And technically, it's just my personal opinion, this is somewhat a slap on the wrist. However, he did beat the other charges. So I think, in my opinion, the judge probably couldn't go too far beyond what he gave him. However, Comey, who was the former prosecutor, she was fired over this case. Had they probably got him on a more serious charge, then it would have been more serious time. So yeah, that's just kind of like what it is. But again, I hope other artists are looking at this. I hope other CEOs or other potential artists are looking at something like this to know you have to be careful of the circumstance that you put yourself in. Because I even look at it from this standpoint as well. okay, you have a party at your house. You host all these parties, sex workers coming over, orgies going on, and stuff like that. Let's just say hypothetically, you got 40 people over there, right? You don't know what may be going on in another room or something like that. But you threw that party, and you could still be held liable or responsible for something like that. That's why cases like this, it's just not good to put yourself in these type of circumstances. But nothing good is going to come out of you talking about someone intoxicated on power, someone that's not sober, someone that has a massive ego, pretty muchly a lot of yes people around them, no one to really say no, no one to really push back. And you mix drugs, alcohol, all these types of things. I mean, this is what you get. And but we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. He made a lot of promises about what he wants to do to right his wrongs and all this. But again, you have to always look at the victims, right? And we have to always look at what pain that they're going to deal with for the rest of their lives. And no check, no amount of money, even if he had to pay them in civil court, is still not going to take away from the pain and the the burdens that they're going to carry. So, like he said in his own writing, he put himself in this situation. He said, I lost my way. I got lost in my journey, lost in the drugs and the access. My downfall was rooted in my selflessness. And I've been humbled and broken to my core. I don't know if a year is going to automatically just break you. So like I said, it was just a lot of language in this letter that could have been a lot better. And then he talked about like some program that he was running in the jail and all that. But again, this is like kind of late, right? I mean, why would you submit this like a day, a day pretty much before sentencing? I think the judge would want to hear this darn near from like the get-go for you to take some type of responsibility. I mean, he was doing everything he could to get out and to fight the whole thing, and now you come back and say you want to take responsibility. I don't know. And then he even got up at one point during the trial and told the judge that he was doing a fine job. So how could you maybe try to come back later and say that the judge is being unfair to you when you got up? No one made you say that the judge was doing a fine job. Okay, we got a couple comments. Okay, he was a wealthy, privileged man. The judge was as light on him as he could have been because they tried to get more than 11 years. Yeah, that's true. I think the judge was fair. I think he was fair. Even the probate thing wanted the judge to do somewhere like between 60 and 70 months. But yeah, I think the judge was fair because the Diddy's team wanted 14 months, 14 months that pretty much it would have been time served and one additional month. And then the prosecution wanted 11 months. So some people thought the judge would kind of meet in the middle, maybe like 5 years or something like that. So he really got like a year less than what was recommended. All right. He says the defense went for time served, right? The judge said the sentence has to be significant. He's probably going to do 2 years max more prison time. That was not a significant sentence, not far off time served. Yeah, I mean, again, just my opinion. I thought the judge tried to be as fair as possible because if you make too many mistakes, then again, it's kind of easy to fight some of these things. We file like a appeal, so maybe the judge tried to make sure there wasn't like a lot of loopholes that could try to, they try to take it to a higher court or something like that. Maybe the judge tried to make sure that he was as fair as possible, so they couldn't try to, wiggle the way out of it. Because regardless of how you feel, let's just say even today is like the 30th year of the OJ trial. Regardless if you feel he was innocent or guilty, one thing you can't deny is LAPD did a lot of stuff that they had no business doing in that trial, which ultimately helped him helped him to be acquitted in the circumstance. Not to mention, Mark Fuhrman was a known racist as well. So here you are, you have this black man married to this white woman. She ends up dead. And then, not to mention he already had several domestic, incidents with her at the time. But, that San Bernardino and that type of, I don't think Mark Fuhrman and some of those people approved of OJ being with Nicole to begin with. So, but again, regardless of your opinion, if you thought he was innocent or guilty, one thing we can't deny is LAPD planted evidence. They did a lot of stuff that they had no business doing. And I was in 8th grade. I remember vividly. I was in class when the verdict came down. I actually remember that. I was at Columbia High School in Decatur, Georgia. And wow, that's 30 years ago. That's crazy. That is crazy. I was 13 years old. But yeah, it's kind of odd that this fell on the 30th anniversary of that. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think Diddy got off? You thought it was a slap on the wrist? You think he should have got more time? Obviously, Comey, James Comey's daughter, I can't remember her first name, but she made a lot of mistakes in this. Diddy had a hell of a team. Brian Stills, one of the best defense attorneys out there, and he pretty much had he had a strong team of people, man. It's a lot of stuff that Diddy does I'm not in agreement with at all. So I don't like to see it's complicated, man. It's sad. But I know some people, had a lot of negative things to say about Cassie, but the thing is this though, she worked for him, so a lot of this stuff he was responsible for as well. But even if you want to say, I've heard some YouTubers and other people say that she had said in testimony that she liked the freak offs. But here's the thing: I think a lot of people drop the ball on when you look at something like that. Even if she was okay with several things that he was doing, it doesn't mean that there wasn't a day that something happened that she wasn't okay with. And all it takes is someone saying stop. And if it doesn't stop, then you know what that is, the R word that we can't say on YouTube. It's that simple. All right, before we get out of here, those who want to follow me on other social media sites, you can go to Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, X, formerly known as Twitter, and TikTok, all at I'm in the Hills. Please, check out my other social media sites. If you're watching on YouTube and want to support with the super chat, you can do so. You can also send a Cash App, a Venmo, both to I'm in the Hills or PayPal, WTV. Check out my website, www.doubleetv.com, which is my production company, and also check out my music website, which is inthehills.net. All right, we got another comment. Okay, if he gets all credits, time served, RDAP, and full halfway house placement, he'll realistically be out of prison, custody in about 1 year from sentencing, give or take some days. Yeah, that's very possible. We'll see what happens, but yeah, I know this is his first time being convicted of something, and but it's like the same thing with Robert Morris, the pastor. The guy got like 10 years, but he's only going to do like 6 months. So unfortunately, that's our system. A lot of people with money and these high power attorneys, they find ways to get these guys deals that, hell, some people who ain't did nothing, doing major time for it. But unfortunately, they don't have the resources for these, powerful attorneys and things of that nature. I want to ask you guys one more thing before we get out of here. Check out the community section where you can vote on friendly debates and polls that your voices and opinions be heard. There's a link pinned to the live chat and comment section to our merch. You can order merch and support the page and channel. Our weekly top 10 countdown. If I feel better, I'm going to do a new episode today. I haven't felt the greatest today, but if I feel better, I do a new episode of that. If you're a Prince fan, go to Facebook, type in Purple Nation, join 15,000 people. I'm the page administrator, and we celebrate the life and legacy of Prince. Lastly, if you want to donate, again, the Cash App and Venmo are both I'm in the Hills, and then the PayPal is DoubleETV101. Please hit that like button, share this content, link up with this page. We definitely need your support. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please, again, let me know your opinions in the comment section. How do you feel about everything that's transpired with Diddy? But it's definitely disappointing, man. It's definitely disappointing just to see this fall from grace. I was watching TMZ earlier. They asked a question. If you look at what happened to Chris Brown and the whole situation with Rihanna, it pretty much seems like he was able to gain his career back to some extent. If you look at Michael Vick, what he went through, he's a coach somewhere now, right? So he was able to make some type of redemption in his life. What do you think this is going to leave Diddy or whatever? Because I think one of the things that's going to hurt Diddy pretty big as well is he lied about the whole situation with Cassie until that video came out. Not to mention, he tried to, they paid money to try to keep that tape from coming out. So a lot of times when you lie about something, that doesn't help you out either. But let me know in the comment section, what do you think he goes from here after time is served? We'll see. We'll see. But again, my heart goes out to all parties involved. Obviously his children. I know that's difficult. His youngest daughter, but hey, these are the decisions that people have to think about ahead of time before they get into something like this. But thank you guys so much for rocking with me. I definitely appreciate it, and that's that.
And why mess up a good thing? And that's that.
I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I'm so high with no edibles. You ask how does it feel? It's incredible. And now I'm standing on my pedestal. Y'all got no morals, y'all unethical. I got a baby face, call it